Peter Parker, a name synonymous with movie watchers and comic talkers, also known as your friendly neighborhood Spider Man. A character that's captivated the imagination of millions and possibly billions of people for over 60 years. Today, we forget the part where that's our problem. We climb great heights to do what's right, so get your webs ready because with great power comes great responsibility as we rank the Spider Man films. This is a Comic Talkers production, and you are listening to Just for Flicks.
What's going on, guys? It is your boy, Patty B, as always. With me today is my co-host, the main man, Mr. B Dog, Mr. Brandon. What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm ready. I got my shirt ready. We are getting into Spider-Man, which is one of my favorite comic book characters of all time.
Yep.
When you brought this list, I was like, I knew right away my list. I knew what was going to be up on my high list, what was going to be on my low tiers. Some are pretty obvious. Some are going to shock fans. So I'm excited for this.
Yeah, man, I am excited as well. Like you said, this is one of my favorite or probably one of my favorite superheroes of all time. It's just because he's the casual man. He's a normal guy, and it's yeah, he's a great character. I love his powers, love everything about him. So,
So,
um, go ahead.
so I do have to, I do have to put it out there. If you had to choose a favorite Spider-Man portrayal on the big screen, who would it be? Who's your favorite Spider person before we get into the meat lesson?
Um, no, it's Tobey Maguire for me,
Same here. So
hands down.
see, it's always a thing that we always say. Toby was a better Peter than he
Yes.
was a better Spider-Man.
Hmm.
Andrew Garfield was the complete opposite. He was the better Spider-Man, but not the good Peter. And then Tom Holland kind of was the total package. He was a great Peter, and he's a great Spider-Man. But overall, Toby Maguire is who we grew up with, so it's easier for us to just say Toby. So
Yeah,
I think Andrew Garfield gets a lot of slack. I
mhm.
enjoy his character. I think
Me
his
too.
Spider-Man is great. It's just the writers behind those movies just to me just did not do their job very well. And Andrew Garfield did the best with what he had. So yeah, that's my take on it. But I love Toby. Toby's my favorite. So how are we gonna do this? I'll go ahead and explain them if you don't mind. We're gonna go the way they were released. And what we're going to do is rank them. There's 10 movies that we're going to go over. We're going to do the Sam Raimi trilogy or the Tobey Maguire trilogy.
Hmm.
We're going to do the Amazing Spider-Man movies with Andrew Garfield. We're going to do all three Tom Holland or MCU Spider-Man movies. And we're also going to go into the Spider-Verse movies, which is Into and Across the Spider-Verse. We are excluding Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame because those movies do have Spider-Man in it, but are not main essential roles in these movies. So we are specifically focusing on Spider-Man based movies. Uh, so if you're ready, Pat, let's go right ahead and jump into our very first one because I know you're excited to talk about this. I know you're shocked on how low it was. I'm
Yeah,
like, and it's Spider-Man 2002 with Tobey Maguire, Willem Dafoe, James Franco, so
it
on and
was
so forth.
yeah, Kirsten Dunst.
That's yeah.
I Spider-Man from 2002, from Sam Raimi is my number one.
I think that's the first time ever, fans, that we have actually
That's
seen a
best for first,
number one. Yeah.
first for the best.
This was my number five.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, quite the difference. No, but I think because your list is way more. There's a lot more detail that goes into it too for what for what you like in those kind of movies. But for me, Spider-Man, like you said, I just there's something about Tobey Maguire that makes him the Spider-Man. Uh, all three movies are good in their own respects, but this is the one that got it kicked off. This was the one I saw this in theaters when it came out. I was, I think, 7 or 8 at the time.
Mhm.
Willem Dafoe, in my opinion, couldn't have played a better villain as Green Goblin, man. He's like one of my favorite, like he's one of my favorite um, portrayals of a villain within the Marvel movies, if that makes sense. I know you got Josh Brolin as Thanos, which I enjoyed. I know some people don't like him as much, but Willem Dafoe, he's a legendary actor. He already had a pretty solid resume before going into this movie. I mean, he was a well-established actor, been acting for 25 years at the time. Kirsten Dunst, a legend in the 90s, right? As a child actor. And then James Franco. This was a young role for him. This was probably one of his first movie roles. So I don't think I can not mention also as you know me as a big wrestling fan. You know,
Figured that was coming.
oh, Brady. You know, that's
Watch
how
them.
many minutes of playtime do we have, Brandon?
Got 3 minutes of playtime.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Um, I like some of the shots too. Let's not also J.K. Simmons is another
Yeah.
one. Did not
J.
mention.
Jonah Jameson himself, one of my favorite characters of all time.
Dude, I love him in those and just in that whole series of movies, but especially this one. You know,
We'll get into it later on too, because this is not the only ones we're going to be talking about on our list that include J. Jonah Jameson, because he does return as J. Jonah Jameson in the MCU's movies, and it's amazing. I still enjoy him. He's not in the same tier as what he is here, but it's not terrible. They're still fun to watch. They're still entertaining. You know, he plays a lot of iconic roles. J.K. Simmons is one of my favorite actors of all time. So to see him in every movie and everything he does is just amazing. Um, J. Jonah Jameson has been a staple in Spider-Man comics for years, since the beginning. People actually think this is Stan Lee created in the comic book.
really.
And it wouldn't shock me, because that's how Stan Lee's personality was. It was more direct. It was more, this is what he wants. Like, I would love to do a cosplay of J. Jonah Jameson.
Hmm.
And one of my all-time ones that I think I could pull off. I can do the hair for it, especially. I got the suit, everything. I can just make a newspaper and I'm good. And have the cigar in my mouth. But here's something I'm curious to see, because Sam Raimi is the one that directs these films, right? Remember the kind of the stupid assistant that he has in there?
It's Elizabeth Banks.
No, well, that not her.
Oh, okay.
I'm not talking about Betty Brant. I'm talking about, you have Randy, the kind of like his right hand man, right?
Yes.
But you have the other guy in there. He's kind of a short, scrawny guy.
Okay.
And that's Sam Raimi's brother.
Oh, is it?
That it is him.
Oh, wow, that's kind of cool.
It's fun to watch those. And two, you also get Bruce Campbell in this film, which if any fans know anything about Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell got started on the very first film with Evil Dead. And they have been best friends since. They've been best friends for years before Evil Dead came out. They were friends as kids. And now they're friends now. It's just fun to see little snippets of that, because that's not the only time Bruce Campbell appears in his trilogy. He appears a couple more times.
Yeah.
Sam Raimi, when it came to this, has one of my favorite shots still to this day is Spider-Man right in front of the American flag. I thought that was iconic. That is preferred shots, everything.
Well,
Green Goblin is so here's my thing with Green Goblin. I love Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin. Let me put that out there before any fans bash me for what I'm about to say. I love Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe is a great Green Goblin. He's a great Norman Osborn. I wouldn't change it forever. But Sam Raimi, what the hell were you thinking when you put him in a fucking Power Ranger suit? Oh yeah, this is what he's gonna do. No, he looked like a fucking Power Ranger. He looked like he was gonna level up how they do in the.
No, you're not lying. Definitely look like a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger.
Yeah, it seriously did. I
Yeah.
remember sitting looking at that. I'm like, and me as a comic book fan, and also I've watched the animated series. Green Goblin did not look like that. Now, later on, we'll talk about No Way Home, and they changed that, and that's perfect. I didn't mind that suit.
Mm-hmm.
But it just is one of those things like you were there. You were right there, but you didn't need to make the goofy mask. You didn't need to make anything like that. But it's whatever. We got it. It's still a good movie. it ranked lower on my list because of movies that have came out later. I think they've done it 10 times better than this one did.
Hmm.
And I agree with you. This is by far why I'm so happy they haven't really revisited Peter Parker's origins. This is the movie that did it, and it did it so well that the Amazing Spider-Man tried to do it,
Yeah.
and it was just like, you don't need that. Just leave it. Everybody knows his origin story, just like that's why I get tired of Batman films. We know what happens to Batman's parents.
Hmm.
We know everything that happens, so don't waste our time revisiting that. Goes to the story. Let us understand the story the way it needs to be told.
Yeah. No, I agree with that for sure.
But it's one of those movies that I enjoy. It's still something I watch. It is something I enjoy a lot. And whenever I'm down or anything that is a series I put on is the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies.
Well, they're rewatchable, right? I mean, they're completely
Absolutely. And we'll get to number 3 here soon too. Even though it's terrible, it's still rewatchable. I can sit there and rewatch that than the Amazing Spider-Man movies. 110%. Can
Mhm.
say that out loud, proud, and not care what people think. So let's jump to number 2, which is Spider-Man 2. Where does this rank on your list? I'm curious.
I hate to sound like I'm going in order of things, but it's number 2.
It is
Uh,
my number 2 as well.
oh, snap.
It is. Spider-Man 2 did everything that Spider-Man 1 did and times it by 100. It is amazing how this movie was made. Alfred Molina, what a fantastic villain. Phenomenal. He is my favorite villain in all comic book movies. He's a very, 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 very sympathetic villain.
Hmm.
You understand why he has gone insane. Of course, with his mechanism, it is corrupting him, but it's the whole thing of his loss for his wife. Everything that he's done, he's lost. Now he's only wanting one thing.
Hmm.
And you see the repercussions of the first movie with James Franco wanting to capture Spider-Man. You get those moments with him that one of my favorite things too is it adapts Spider-Man No More comic. And that is the iconic he throws away his uniform and says he's done.
Yeah.
That is such an iconic moment in comics. And I believe it was Stan Lee and John Romita Sr. that did that. And by far it's still on the cover that stands out to this day. But in the comics, it's Kingpin who takes over and it's causing more problems and stuff.
Hmm.
Now, with Spider-Man 2, you get the sense of now he's learned to be this. Still, one of my favorite scenes is his scenes with Uncle Ben. And he's dreaming it. It is very heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because he's like, well, what if I didn't ask for this power? What if I wasn't who I'm supposed to be?
Hmm.
What if I don't want to be who I'm supposed to be? And you feel Uncle Ben's pain that you look at him and you go, I understand.
You can see it in his eyes. I don't know the actor's name, but man, he really, the Uncle Ben, I don't think he gets enough praise. The guy that played him, like he really
Better than Martin
captivated the
Sheen.
character. Huh?
Better than Martin Sheen and the crap of God and Amazing Spider-Man.
You don't like Martin
I
Sheen?
do not like him as Uncle Ben. He is a terrible Uncle Ben. For what we got, I did not
I
like.
love Martin Sheen.
I
Don't
don't like Martin Sheen in a lot of movies, and you can think that because of Spawn. He was terrible in that movie.
he's good in The Departed. I think
Well,
that's one
yeah, he's good in certain movies.
till he gets Mick Foleyed off the roof. Huh? What's that?
He's bad in others. Spider-Man 2 is just a great story overall. It tells you a story of Peter trying to live up to what he needs to be, not what he wants to be. And sometimes he has to make those sacrifices too in the process. It is learning who he truly is. One of my favorites, it's still one of my favorite fight scenes, is the train scene.
Yeah.
And And you see him, that's like the iconic pose where you see him in front of the train, springing webs and holding it back. He's
You know,
so tired that the people on the train lift him, even though he's unmasked,
hmm
and promise that they would never reveal his identity. Let's talk about Peter revealing that he is now the one that looks at he's responsible for Uncle Ben's death.
hmm
Because he reveals to her that night that he is the one that allowed the bank robber to go past,
Oh yeah,
the one that ended up shooting Uncle Ben.
yeah. Your boy from Love for Love of the Game.
Because at this point, too, because she walks away, that scene is so iconic to me in my eyes. Is she gets up from the table and walks away in disappointment.
Yeah.
But then the next couple days later, he returns to help her, and she's kind of the one that motivates him to get back in the suit. I love that scene. And to see that, there's one scene I always swear they should have never deleted from that movie. And it's the iconic J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. He's happy that he's thrown away the suit, that he literally puts it on and literally gets on the desk and starts like,
Dude, I would have loved to see J.K. Simmons doing that, man.
it wouldn't shock me. There is a deleted scene. So if you want to go take a look, go take a look.
So
It's like
funny.
the funniest stuff ever. And I wish they would have never deleted it. I wish they would have kept it up. But it was cut. And it's just a great movie overall. It really sets up what's about to happen next. It kind of sets up Peter's and Mary Jane's relationship a little bit better. James Franco gets the reveal of the century when he finds out his best friend is the one underneath the mask. It's amazing. It's a great movie from Sam Raimi. I put this up there as Sam Raimi's best film, one of his best films.
Oh, there's
Sure.
Stan Lee. Just past the Stan Lee cameo.
Yeah, so like to me, this is one of Sam Raimi. If it's not his number one or number two, it's in
Yeah.
his top three movies
Yeah.
ever made.
Oh, you think? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Who gets
overall, yeah, because
directed?
Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 has got to be up there.
Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2.
I probably put Evil Dead 2 more at one.
Really? I
Then
need to watch
I would put Spider-Man 2, and then I put Evil Dead.
it. Do you think this is probably one of the best sequels
Yeah,
ever made?
yeah. This is like in a top 10 list of best sequels made.
Yeah.
Like to me, yeah, you're not gonna this isn't gonna be
Right behind T2, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's not gonna beat T2, it's not gonna beat out Empire, it's not gonna beat out a few movies.
Empire, I forgot about that. Yeah. Empire's a great sequel.
Yeah, it is. It outdoes the first.
Technically, because you don't think of it as a sequel because it's so entwined with the whole saga or the whole Star Wars saga. But you're absolutely right. The way it was released, it was the second movie.
Second movie.
Um, yeah, that's cool.
But yeah,
But
so what's your take on Spider-Man 2?
I, like you said, I just it's one of mine because it's like you said, rewatchability is a key factor in these things too. It's a comfort movie for me. Like this whole Sam Raimi saga. Like if I want to watch Spider-Man movies, those are the movies I'm gonna gravitate towards.
Right.
You know, um, Alfred Molina. And like you said, I think his portrayal as Doc Ock is awesome. I remember as a kid, because you know me, I'm not a big comic book guy, and I didn't really read them as a kid. But I definitely remember Doc Ock being like one of the first like villains that I knew of because his appearance, he's like in the comics,
Well,
he's
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 one of the best,
legendary.
he's one of the only villains that really can outdo Spider-Man. And he
Yeah.
has, but
What is your take on James Franco as Harry Osborn in these movies?
I like him in the first two. And I'll explain because we are going to get to number 3 soon. I feel like they kind of undid his character a little bit that I would have enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's his fault. I think it's Sam Raimi, and I'll explain the problems with that third movie because there was a lot. But yeah, James Franco was good in these movies. With what he was given, he was great. Just like Tobey Maguire was, just like Kristen Dunst was.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it was the studio interference that screwed him in the third. And but yeah, I like James Franco more in this one than the first. I think the first helped set up his character, but then the second one was more revenge, and he wanted the head of Spider-Man. That was one of my favorite scenes when he unmasks him and sees who it is, and he's freaked out.
Yeah.
It's amazing to see the chops on James Franco during that scene. It's amazing.
Mhm.
But I enjoy more
It definitely
Tony
grabbed
Stark.
it. It definitely elevated his career too, right? I mean, from being in these
Oh,
movies.
I would agree, but then it's what's got him kind of in trouble lately too. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but hey, just like it always says, great in this movie, pizza time, right? Pizza time. But
Man, I love pizza.
pizza time. Anyway, I think it's time for us to go to the third one, which is the least favorite of the trilogy of this one, Spider-Man 3.
I think by a lot of people though, right?
I have this list at number 7.
Ooh,
And and not that I think fans are gonna hate me because it's so low. I think fans are like, well, why isn't this like 9 or 10 on your list? And I'll explain soon. Where does it rank on your list?
it's actually right about where you are. I got it at number 6.
Number 6.
Yeah, I got it at number 6. It's average. It's whatever to me.
Well, this was going to be a great sequel
Mhm.
or a great trilogy until Marvel Studios, and I can't remember who that other beeper's name is, but he decided to come in and say, "Oh, I want Venom in this film," and Sam Raimi was totally against Venom showing up. He had the script written, everything, and it
Do you
did not.
know who he had the script written for?
That's where I don't know. I can't remember who was supposed to be. I want to say it was going to be Mysterio or it was going to be Harry.
Mhm.
But then they wanted Venom, and so then that's what they wrote him in. But by God, who the hell decided to choose Topher Grace as fucking Eddie?
Uh, I hate Topher Grace.
Topher
Nothing against
Grace,
the guy. I'm just not a
we
fan
love
of
him in
his
the
acting.
70s show. But this was really his first big movie, and you put him as Eddie Brock.
That's a big shoes to fill right there.
Yeah. Now, this is how I would have done this movie. I would have introduced Eddie Brock. I would not made him Venom.
No, that's actually a smart call right there because
You can introduce the Venom symbiote and have
yeah, it gives
Spider-Man.
that suspense though. Because if you think about it, it's the last movie of the trilogy, so you'd be like, oh wow, that's Eddie Brock. All the comic knowers would know, like, hey, that's supposed to be Venom right there. But guess what? You're not going to see him as Venom.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of a tease. I like that. I do
Like
like
you
that.
could have teased it, and they either brought the Venom symbiote at the end of the movie,
Hmm.
and that's when Peter gets taken over by it. But the one part that I feel gets overlooked is Sandman's story.
Yeah.
Sandman was amazing in this film.
Oh, I love Thomas Hayden Church in this movie, dude.
The whole thing of that he might have been the one that killed Uncle Ben that night.
Hmm.
And then Spider-Man goes on this whole revenge campaign.
Yep.
And then come to find out that he was the one that was trying to stop it.
And then the gun went off accidentally.
Well, his partner is his partner is
Yeah,
the one that pretty much triggered his hand to shoot it. The one that Peter let run by.
yeah.
It's the whole thing of forgiveness in this film. But some of the other stuff I want to talk about, Peter Parker's emo scenes. Why?
They're terrible. They're terrible.
What's
No,
Dan?
I just refreshed on these movies a couple days ago, and I watched the third one, and I was like, man, these are cringy. Yeah, yeah.
I hate those. I hate that.
I hate like I know we kind of talked about it a second ago with Harry Osborn's character.
Yeah, they
Just kind of, it's like they just forced it to be like his dad's, and I don't know.
but
He's
well, like they try to
tropical
make him
dude
like
with
that, and he was so great at it.
yeah.
But then they made him have amnesia, and it
Mm.
was just like, what are you doing? This
And he's
makes
not even, yeah. Go sorry.
it made no damn sense. It didn't. It was just like a cop out for him. But I think it was also Sam Raimi kind of doing what he wanted, but had to move around some stuff to get what the studio.
Did you like the thing with him and Mary Jane? Like how he's
No,
like,
no, God no. I hated that.
it was like it felt like filler almost, or like
I
maybe
felt
like
like they
more
just tried to
drama.
go. Yeah, they tried to go back to the first movie, and I didn't like that. And then when Harry finally gets reconsciousness or comes back,
Of what he's there to do. I thought it was cool how they actually put uh Willem Dafoe in the movie. Like I don't know if he acted for it or they
they
definitely
did.
put
I
parts
think
in.
he did. Yeah, I think he did do that.
Yeah.
But that's where Harry gets to reveal that it wasn't Peter who killed him.
Yeah.
It was his own glider that pierced him. He tried to kill Peter,
The butler is who tells him that.
but there's the one that tells him.
Yeah.
And he even says it. So I should have told you sooner, but we were still investigating everything.
Yeah, that would have been cool if you did.
Yeah,
Save a lot of time.
but it's a fun movie still to watch. I love Thomas Hayden Church for this. I think he is phenomenal in this role
Hmm.
as Sandman. There's a reason why they brought him back too later on, but I'll get to
Yeah.
that later because I did not like his design in No Way Home. But I'll explain what happens. Um, but it's still a great movie to enjoy. Venom looked terrible.
Yeah.
Venom's design was just like, what was this? Seriously, I looked at this and just went, what is this?
I like how they kind of focus with the scientist that's at the college because it's his buddy. He's kind of investigating the substance of Venom.
Well, you know who that
I
is,
don't-
right?
Is he in the comic? Is his character in the
Yes,
comic?
that's Dr. Kirk Connors. That is the lizard.
Holy shit.
And if you pay attention, the actor who plays him is also from Road to Perdition.
Yeah.
He is,
Yeah.
he is the banker or the accountant.
And so his character is also in the Amazing Spider-Man. We'll get into that in a second.
Not him specifically.
Okay, so it's not
It's not the
he.
same actor. It's two different
No, no,
actors.
no. I know that it's Reese. I forget what his last name is, but
But yes, Dr. Kirk Connors is the lizard there.
okay, but that's his character. Yeah, I see what you mean. Okay,
It's the
that's
lizard.
cool. I don't know why I didn't pick up on
That's
that.
what that was one I think they could have really done was Kirk Connors because he
Yeah,
already have him established. But
kind of
see, to me,
cool.
how they did Kirk Connors is how they should have did Eddie Brock.
Mm.
Brought him in, gradually have introduced him, and then you get Venom.
I don't think we've talked about it enough until we move on. But before, or I should say, before we move on, Kirsten Dunst's portrayal as Mary Jane.
I did not like her in this movie. This
Or
movie,
what about any of the movies in general? I
I
mean,
liked
just
her in the first. I liked her in the second one more than I like her in the first.
okay.
Because the second one is like it shows like she's going all this fame, and then she's doing all this, and then now she's down on her luck again.
Yeah.
And or no, that's more the third one. My apologies. Like that's more the third one because that's. But even then, when she's down on her luck, it just I think her character alone with Harry and all them, it's just like no, this doesn't
Her
make.
character doesn't really evolve in these movies.
No, not really. Out of all of them, she's the weakest.
She just doesn't. Yeah, yeah. You know what? I never really thought about it like that. Like, by the way, love her as the character. I just think the character itself didn't like
Right.
evolve or develop as much that it could have.
Right.
So,
But yeah. So you have any other thoughts that you want to bring into this one?
no, I mean, it's definitely my least favorite of the Sam Raimi,
But it's
but
still rewatchable compared to
oh, for sure, it's rewatchable. I mean, that's not the problem. It's not my go-to.
so I think it's time for us to go to the next actor who took on the Spider-Man role, which was Andrew Garfield. And that we're going to talk about with Amazing Spider-Man. And I know I'm going to get hate for this. The first one is my number 9 on my list.
Number 9.
Granted, I enjoy this movie, the first one. But compared to some of the other ones, this one just fell short for me. Yeah, Dr. Kirk Connors come in as a lizard. Great. Thing I had was the lizard. I did not like his design. I thought his design looked really stupid. his whole thing of trying to take over and make people more lizards too and all that. I didn't like that either. I just think this movie just lacked a lot of stuff. I think it was just more of the writing. They were trying to push another Spider-Man movie. And I just feel like it fell short. Andrew Garfield, great Spider-Man, not a great Peter. I'm just gonna put that out there now. Better Gwen though than what we got in the third Sam Raimi film. That was Bryce Dallas Howard in that movie.
That's right. Yeah, that's Ron Howard's daughter.
Mm-hmm. And this, it's
I
Emma
love
Stone.
Emma Stone. Yeah,
Emma
Emma
Stone
Stone.
is amazing in this role.
I have a crush on Emma Stone too. So
Captain Stacy is great too. I
Mhm.
enjoy him as who's the actor who plays him? I can't remember right off the top of my head.
who you talking
Captain
about?
Stacy, the dad of Gwen Stacy.
Oh, Dennis Leary.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and that's you know what? That's one of the reasons why I love this movie. Because so you have this ranked as number 9, right?
Number 9.
This is my number 4.
Oh, I thought you said it was number 9 as well.
No. That's no, that's the next one we're about to get into.
Okay.
It's the same.
Well, thanks for the spoiler.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get into it. You guys can, yeah. Don't get mad. No, but that's one of the reasons why I like this movie because I think the cast is so stacked. I love Sally Field as Aunt May, by the way.
Yes, I think
Sally Field's awesome.
Yeah, Sally Fields is amazing, and
but Rhys Ifans, that's Kurt Connors, and he's in a lot of movies. He's actually in I don't know for any Game of Thrones fans out there, but he's in the prequels to the Game of Thrones, House of Dragon, and he's phenomenal. He's also in The Replacements. He's in Little Nicky. His portrayal
I can't believe you brought
always
up
sticks out to me because it's like whenever I see him and stuff, I'm like, it's Adrian from Little Nicky. He's like peppermint schnapps, Henry Winkler covered in bees. Every time I see him, I just think of that movie. But no, I mean, I just love. I do like Andrew Garfield in this, you know, and I think from watching more and more of his movies as he progresses as an actor, he's done some pretty great stuff. Like you can't, there's no denying that. I think though, for you know the hardcore comic fans as yourself, you know, he definitely has that better Spider-Man feel to him compared to the Peter Parker side. And like you were saying, Tobey Maguire is a way better Peter Parker than he is a Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So it's just reverse roles, but I think in our hearts, and also it depends on what we grew up with. You know, when this movie came out, you know, 2012, summer of 2012. You know, I was a little bit older at the time. I mean, I was in high school, and you know, I was a kid when the first Spider-Man came out, and that's what I really attached to. And I think, you know, that's why we ranked it the way we ranked it.
But I don't know why though. I feel like the first movies were shot better than these.
Oh, 100%. Sam, well, so you got to think about, look at the shots in just the way, think of how the story in, especially in 2, how it's structured. You know, you love it how it's structured, right? How he has it all directed out. Look at For Love of the Game, dude. For Love of the Game is brilliant on how it's structured.
But it's probably one of his weaker movies story-wise.
I get it. But just like how the movie is actually like edited and structured, it's just it flows smoothly. And you know, the going back to forth in that movie, and it has nothing to do with Spider-Man, but just the way he has everything kind of leveled out.
I feel like Amazing Spider-Man was just kind of pushed out. It was just here, we're gonna give you what you want, and this is how it is. And fans were kind of having mixed reviews about it. It really was a mixed review movie. There were some good things about it. There were really bad things about the movie. Lizard's one of them. I did not like the Lizard. I
like his character, man. I think he's badass. I think he's just
read the comics more, and you'll see why we say.
Okay, I get it. I'm the casual movie guy.
But
you know,
I think for me, like Dennis Leary is probably one of my favorite roles. Emma Stone is one of my favorite roles, and Andrew Garfield.
100%.
Like those 3 are the only 3 I really enjoy. If they're not on screen, I don't care. And something else we're going to talk about in the next movie, I'm going to bring up. Here's their chance they could have brought in Harry. Not the way they did it in the next movie.
Oh man,
I feel like they rushed him so quick. It was unreal. This is the chance they could have put him in as just a background character. If it wasn't, you could just introduce him. You didn't have to deal much with him.
Mhm.
You could have maybe introduced Norman, but you didn't even have to do that. You could just dealt with Harry for a little bit, and that's it. You know, but yeah, this by far though has one of my favorite Stan Lee cameos.
Yes.
That's a librarian with the
Yeah, he's a
headphones,
school librarian.
and the whole battle's going on behind him, and he's not even paying attention. That's one of my favorite cameos of all time. It just sends him sitting there, do 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 do, and then all of a sudden you just see Spider-Man Lizard going on in the background.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it's just fun to watch, and this is a fun movie to watch. But to sit here and say I'd watch it over and over again, I can't say that.
Yeah. No, I get that. You know, I think from just watching this recently within this week, getting prepped for this a little bit, I kind of grew a liking to it. I just like how the movie flows. I like how, you know, putting big a thing that made it big too. You know, I said like the cast is big for me, especially in this movie. But like putting Dennis Leary in that,
Yeah.
dude, I'm like, I forgot. I've seen this movie, you know, when it came out, but I forgot until I watched it that Dennis Leary's in this movie, and his character is awesome.
I like him in this movie. I think he's
Yeah,
great.
he's great. He's fantastic.
I'm not a big Dennis Leary fan, and it's just because he's kind of a choiced actor.
Yeah,
You either love him or you hate him.
yeah.
One of them's in the middle for me. I can enjoy him, but there's that many roles I don't stand him in.
I
And
like him in Small Soldiers.
well, I forgot he's in Small Soldiers.
Yeah, he's the
Uh,
boss.
Remember him in Draft Day? He was the coach in Draft Day with
Yep.
Kevin Costner. He played an ass in that movie, just like he did as Kelly or Stacy. But even then, I still enjoyed him. He's a great character overall. So yeah, are we ready to go to probably the one movie that is probably the lowest on our list now at this point?
Do it. Let's
Okay,
do
we're
it.
gonna go to the Amazing Spider-Man #2. We're gonna reveal it in 3, 2, 1, 10.
And
Like there's no like this is a movie that talks they should have learned with Spider-Man 3 from Sam Raimi. Don't have too many villains. That is the biggest problem with this movie. They set up too many villains, not a lot of backstory,
yeah.
and fail.
Well, that's why Spider-Man 3 isn't as good as what it could be, right?
Right.
Because you got Venom and you got Sandman in there.
Like,
So-
yeah. If you it's like we said, either you could have introduced Eddie Brock in the third movie and had the potential of going to #4, or you could have introduced Eddie Brock in the second movie
Yeah.
and then gradually turn him into Venom. Again, let's talk about Harry Osborn. This is by far the worst version of Harry Osborn I have ever seen. This was bad.
I was blown away too when I watched this that Chris Cooper is
And they
Norman.
wasted him. They wasted him as Norman.
An actor like that who got a Best Supporting Actor Oscar for Awakenings. Like you're gonna what? Yeah, no, I feel like they definitely
Wasted his
dropped the ball on
talent.
his character for
Yeah.
sure.
Let's talk about wasted talent too. Let's talk about Paul Giamatti. Now, Paul Giamatti is Rhino in this film. They wasted that man's talent big time. One, I'm just gonna put it out there. Why the fuck would you put him as Rhino? Of all villains that you could have,
You made me spit my coffee out.
out of all fucking villains you could have had, why the fuck is Rhino? Like, to be totally honest, I would have loved to seen him as J. Jonah Jameson. I would have loved to seen him as Mysterio. I would have loved to see him as something else than in Rhino. One, the suit for Rhino is fucking an abomination. I'm just gonna put it out there now. That was a travesty to make him robotic. What the hell were you guys thinking? He is a mutant. He is a mutated body. He is not a robot. I hated that. 2, Green Goblin. What the fuck were you thinking there?
I will say this about so about his Green Goblin, like I do like the appearance of how he looks.
I don't. I am the iconic look of just having that mask over him. I don't like him mutated. Like
Okay.
there are certain characters who can pull that off. Harry is not one of them, and I don't like that about him. Let's talk about the main villain, Jamie Foxx as
Yeah.
Electro.
Yeah.
Glad they brought him back for No Way Home to redeem him.
He's good. He's
He-
probably I would say the bright light in this movie, right?
See, I don't think that.
But you like him in No Way Home.
I like him in No Way Home better because it redeems him.
Mm.
Don't like him in this movie.
Well, in the beginning of this movie, his character is sympathetic, right? We kind of gravitate.
He's a
towards-
fan of Spider-Man. He wants to help. But then that's essentially what gets him in trouble. He gets electrocuted. But I just think like one, his design is terrible. They
Mm.
made him all blue. It made no sense. Two, it fixes the gap in between his teeth. Seriously. Not joking. That's literally one of the things it does, and it shows it is his teeth coming together. I was like, what the hell is this?
This is
He could have just really had a good role. And I feel like they wasted it again because of too many villains.
mhm.
When Stacy's death, I feel it was rushed. I feel that's again, if you would have introduced Norman or Harry in the first movie, made Norman possibly the villain for the second one, and then set Harry up. Because if I'm not mistaken, it is not Harry who kills her. It is Norman who kills her in the comics.
Yeah.
And that's a very famous comic called The Night Gwen Stacy Died. And the
Oh, wow.
second comic was right after the death of the Green Goblin. That is something else I cannot forget this movie for, is they took that story, changed it up, and then Gwen Stacy still dies,
Mhm.
but it's not by Norman's hands.
Okay.
I feel like it was just a wasted scene. It truly
Gotcha.
was. Because then who's still the main villain? Electro. Nobody cares about Norman or Harry at this point. Goes
Mhm.
to Electro. Nobody cares. I don't care for this movie because I feel like it was too rushed. Too many hands in the pocket, too many characters in the pocket, and look what happened. What's
Yep.
your take on this?
It's whatever to me. Like I said, there's a reason why it's on the bottom of the list. Harry's character is awful. Like I can't get past that. I think he kind of ruins the movie, if I'm being completely honest with you. I don't think it's the actor's fault. It's probably just, I don't know. It's just the chemistry with it, I guess, isn't great. There's too much going on for, the movie is 2 hours and 22 minutes. I have it up here, but like, I only think the good part about this movie is Jamie Foxx's part. That's pretty much it. I mean, it's a wasted opportunity in having not doing anything with Chris Cooper, like we talked about. Um, Andrew Garfield's great. He's, he's in it, but I will say this. I will say this about this movie. This is the last thing I'll say. Stanley's cameo is not too bad. It's at the graduation, I believe.
Oh yeah, okay. I couldn't remember his cameo in this one. It's also because I've only watched it once, and then I said I'd never watch it again.
Yeah, it's like I said, this
Well,
movie's
I
not for.
attempted to go back and watch it again, and I said no. This is why I hated it, and then I stopped.
It's just like all of Harry's lines in this are just so cringy. Like that, just the way he talks. Like no one talks like that. Stop talking like that,
It sounds like Golem in between his teeth.
dude. He's just like trying to talk so mysteriously, and it's like it's not working, bro. It's really
But
not working.
I hate to say it, Norman and Harry are still outspoken. They're going to say what's on their mind.
Mm.
Or like Harry's more shy, but he's still going to say things. He doesn't come off creepy. So let's talk about the first MCU version of Spider.
Yes.
Let's go. Something.
I have it ranked at my number 8.
I have it ranked at number 6.
Okay.
Yeah. So
In that pocket.
yeah, like I enjoyed this movie.
Hmm.
Out of all The MCU ones is the second best, and I'll explain. It's pretty much well known what's going to be my favorite out of the MCU ones. But
Yeah.
why enjoy this movie? Vulture by Michael Keaton. Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. Love his character. Love how they kind of made him sympathetic.
Mhm.
And I love the scene at the end where, because you know who the guy he was talking to at the very end of the movie is, or he was supposed to be, right?
I do, but refresh me.
That is Matt Gargan. That is the Scorpion.
Okay.
But he's not the Scorpion at that time.
Got it. Leaves that suspense of he's not that. Okay.
And how he tries to get him to reveal Spider-Man's identity, and he goes, I don't know. I can't remember. And I loved it. I love that whole scene with him and Peter in the car.
Mhm.
One of my favorite scenes of all time. I love it. I love that we didn't get Uncle Ben in this movie.
Yeah.
And it really does set up No Way Home for what happens.
Mhm.
I love that part of it. I love that this kind of takes place after the events of Civil War, because that's where he got his introduction.
Yes.
You was Civil War. I love that Robert Downey Jr. is kind of like his ward, or kind of not his ward, but like his mentor.
His mentor. Yeah. His
Happy
apprenticeship,
Hogan
his
is amazing.
his master.
Yeah, Happy Hogan is amazing in this movie. I'm curious to see if you know this. Okay. You have why am I blanking on his name too? Vision. Who Paul Bettany. Okay. Paul
Yes.
Bettany talks for Jarvis, and then that's who he becomes Vision. Who talks for Friday? That's his real life wife, Jennifer Connelly.
Wait, who's married to Jennifer Connelly?
Paul Bettany,
Okay.
Vision himself, or Dryden Voss from
Right.
Solo.
From Solo, yeah.
Still one of my favorite roles of them of all time, even over Vision. I like Dryden Voss. Anyway,
That's a badass name.
like I'm sitting there reading the book, and it's a book right before what's supposed to take place before Solo and Kira's adventure.
Hmm.
How she escaped from the gates where Han and her split up to where she was before Han saw her again. And every time I see Dryden Voss's name, I'm like, Paul Bettany.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, this movie was great. I love Ned in this movie. I love him. Ned and Peter just work well together. I love that they give us hints. You know, Cindy Moon. Cindy Moon is Silk in comics. So you see Cindy Moon, you're like, oh my gosh, we might get Silk.
Hmm.
You know, you get Liz Allen, which is a character we don't see a lot in movies, and we got to see her here. She is kind of like not a love interest, but somebody that Peter does like, but it's not returned. MJ, which I hate to say this is probably my least favorite love interest for Peter.
Oh, between MJ
Zendaya and yeah,
do you
Zendaya.
like Zendaya? Do you like Zendaya as?
Yes, I like her as an actress, 110%. I think she's a
Do you
great.
like no, but do you like her as the Mary Jane portrayal?
No, I think it's too weird. It's real like when she's her smart Alex self, and then like when you get to No Way Home and Far From Home, it's a little better.
Yeah.
This movie wasn't my favorite. I kind
I,
of got annoyed with her a little
Hmm.
bit. But I love that Shocker is put into this movie, another villain we have not seen in the movies. They hint to Prowler. If you pay attention, that is Donald Glover's role in the movie. If you watch Enter the Spider-Verse, he plays Aaron Davis, who is the Prowler. And remember the scene where Spider-Man encounters him in the movie and he puts the webbing on his hand on the trunk? And he says he's
Mhm.
protecting his nephew. He's trying to get his nephew away from the streets like this. That's Miles. He's talking about Miles Morales.
That's crazy.
And across the Spider-Verse, you'll see that too. There is a scene where you actually see Donald Glover in the Prowler outfit. It is really cool how they do it. So it's a fun one to do. Anyway, there's just so many great hints to this movie throughout this movie that's just fantastic. I love Happy's and his relationship too. It's one of my favorite relationships. Is Happy how he's always annoyed with him, but then takes him kind of under his wing, like, "Hey, you're actually a really good hero, so don't
Yeah.
lose." I love that. I love the whole scene where he's in the bathroom and freaks out kids. He's like, "Thank you." You know, like John Favreau alone is the man we can credit
Um,
for starting the
I
MCU.
love John Favreau in these movies.
He is the man who started the MCU. He is the man who gave us Elf. He is the man who gave us the Jungle Book, the Mandalorian.
And gave us Elf.
He is. He's the man who directed Elf. And then he's the man who also did the Mandalorian. So
I like him in Chef.
yeah, you would. I know you would.
It's a good movie, but I think this movie's good. It's just not my favorite. You know, if I'm being honest with you, I'm not a big Tom Holland guy. I don't like his portrayal of Spider-Man necessarily
Yeah,
compared
where
to the
I
other
disagree
two.
with you. That's
What's
where I
that?
agree with you somewhat. I
Yeah,
love his
he just doesn't
portrayal.
do much. I don't know. I'm just not a Tom Holland guy. He's cool. He's good in other stuff. I really like him in The Devil All the Time. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie.
I've seen parts of it. I've never sat
He's
down and
great
watched
in
it.
that movie. He's great in it.
But
Really get a lot of sympathy for his
but
character.
give me some props. Michael Keaton, if you had to rank a Spider-Man list of all the villains in movies, you
Oh,
would have him up in your tops.
yeah.
Like, where would you rank him is the question.
Well, his character in this,
Like, if you had to rank all the villains in the Spider-Man movies, where would you rank the Vulture? Like, I know it's not going to be over Alfred Molina and Willem Dafoe, but
yeah. I mean, see, that's subjectable too because like I like Electro, and I would say he's for sure better than Jamie Foxx, right?
oh, I put him over Jamie Foxx and Thomas Hayden Church.
Thomas Hayden, yeah, another one, Thomas Hayden Church. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely put him in the top three probably because you got him, Alfred Molina, and then
Mm-hmm.
Willem Dafoe. I think is the automatic number one.
The other big one I'd love to see is the Tinkerers introduced.
Uh-huh.
Tinkerer is the
Yep.
man who makes the uniforms for Vulture and stuff. That's a big thing for comic book fans because he's been around since Spider-Man's been around. So it's fun to see little snippets of that. Overall, this movie is great. I enjoy it. I know I'm kind of shocked it's lower on your list because I think out of all three movies, other than No Way Home, because No Way Home does give us a lot of good shots. I think Homecoming's got probably some of the best shots.
Yeah.
Especially like the scene where he's jumping off the Lincoln Memorial
Mhm.
and he's flying with his webbing, which I love too. They brought that back underneath his arms. That's from the very first comics.
That's cool.
And that's how he flies a little bit. It's fun. It's just a fun movie to watch. Michael Keaton, though, I'm going to go back to him quick before we jump to the next movie. What a different role for him.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
He came off Birdman.
Talk about range.
Yeah, Birdman, remember, he was in Birdman right before this. Then Birdman, I believe, did it get an Oscar for it, or he was nominated for an Oscar?
For I
Birdman.
never saw the Birdman. Is it good?
It's a good movie. It's like an actor kind of been typecast in this role, and he thinks he's this character. It's like the character took over kind of like his mind. It's
Okay.
kind of fun. It's kind of a fun movie to watch.
I know he got a nomination for it.
Yeah, I know. Like Birdman did win Best Picture that year.
Dude, Michael Keaton's been doing some bangers these last
Yeah.
like 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, he did Spotlight. He did
The Founder, the McDonald's movie. He's great in that. I love that movie.
I think he's great in that movie.
Every time I watch it, I want McDonald's.
We need to do that, and we just sit here and watch McDonald's or eat McDonald's.
Dude, I'm so down. Or just watch Super Size Me.
No, let's not do Super Size Me. I'm gonna puke. I'm gonna puke the whole video. I remember watching that once, and I said I'd never watch it again.
I could go for a Big Mac
Thanks, bud.
or a fillet of fish.
Oh, this
Do you
is
like fillet of fishes?
yes, they still do.
No, do you like fillet of
Oh
fishes?
hell no! I'm a
Oh.
chicken nugget guy or a Big Mac guy.
Their
Like,
chicken nuggets are unmatched for sure, and their fries. If their fries are fresh,
yeah,
usually if you go through a drive-through and you're like, "Hey, I want fries with no salt," they'll do
Right.
it for you.
you just say no salt.
No, but that's how they make because you don't want fries that have been sitting in the warmer for like 5 minutes. You can't take that chance that they're not fresh.
Oh my
So you
god!
just be like,
Well,
"Hey, I
you
want
just
no
did it.
salt," because they automatically salt them when they put them down.
The way you just made it sound like you go up and just say, I go up there for fries and just tell them no salt. It's like, what the
Yeah, you just go up there, tell them no salt, and then I promise you, Brandon, they will be fresh fries. They'll be hot and fresh, and then you can just add your salt to it.
I gotta have salt. Oh my.
You know what you should do is just keep a salt shaker in your center console.
Of course, I know you would do that. But anyway, but I think
Or
it's
you
time
be-
to I think it's time to go to the next one, which is Far From Home. Actually,
Yeah.
no, it actually isn't. I psyched you out, good friend.
You
It
did
is
psych me out. Is it? Is it?
it's Into the Spider-Verse.
It is. Wow, I
Into
was
the
even for
Spider-Verse
that.
is the first. This is my number one.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be.
Yeah, it is my number one for a reason. Where does it place on yours?
It is my number 5.
Yeah, man, you know me enough. I
Mhm.
am a huge Miles fan.
Yeah.
Miles has always been one of my favorite characters in comics, and to finally see him up on the big screen, I was very skeptical because I'm like, please do not ruin this character for me. I was so skeptical, I stayed away from theaters when this movie dropped. I was nervous because I just got done watching Venom,
Mhm.
and I was pretty pissed off with it.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, yeah,
I like Venom, but
that was a travesty with superhero movies. Like,
well, Venom is better than some of the other ones we got from Sony, but Sony has always had a track record of not really giving fans what they want.
didn't Sony do?
They did Morbius, and Morbius was bad.
Well, didn't they also do Spider-Man 3?
Yeah, they've done all the Sam Raimi ones, all the Amazing Spider-Man ones, and then they partnered with Disney to do the MCU ones. It's still made by Sony, but it's part of the story.
I see.
And then they done Venom, Morbius. They're doing Craven, which God forbid, I hope that I'm not even gonna go see that movie.
Raven.
Yeah, that movie looks terrible. I enjoy this movie. It shows a sense of growth, take a leap of faith. It shows a lot of things that helped me get through some stuff during that time. And this movie again is star-studded and it works.
Yeah.
Let's just go over some of the big name actors in this film, okay? Haley Steinfeld's Gwen Stacy, or Spider-Gwen or Ghost Spider.
Mhm.
Nicolas Cage returns as Spider-Man Noir. What's his name? John Mulaney is Spider-Ham.
Yeah.
Catherine Hahn, if anybody doesn't know, it's Agatha all along from WandaVision or Step Brothers. She is the Dr. Octopus in that universe.
Mm-hmm.
Stryber is Kingpin in this movie.
Not Roy Munson.
Mahershala Ali is the Prowler in this movie. Mahershala Ali in this movie is phenomenal. That relationship you get with Aaron and Miles is phenomenal. You know, that's how he gets bitten by the spider, which is one of my favorite spider bites of all time.
Yeah.
He sit there and he just looks at it and he goes, and he just like falls to death.
Mhm.
It is just a phenomenal movie to really teach kids it's okay to take a leap of faith.
Post Malone's in this.
Yeah, well,
He's like he's like a background, like a Brooklyn bystander is what it says.
yeah. Well, his most famous song came in this movie.
Yeah, yeah. He did
He did Sunflower that came in this movie.
That's a good song too.
Zoe Kravitz is in this movie. Do you know who she plays?
Mary Jane.
She is Mary Jane in this film.
I
But
didn't just look at a screen and say that.
yeah, cheater. One second.
I would say the reason why this movie is number 5 for me is, and it's not the story so much, it's the artwork.
Yeah.
The artwork alone, you know me, I like that artistic ability within films. Like that's one of the reasons why I love Fantastic Mr. Fox is one of my favorite movies as far as animation goes. Just creative stuff, and I think they really outdid themselves on this movie.
Well, there's a reason why it won Best Animated Picture.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, just the way this movie, the artwork is just absolutely beautiful, and the way they get the colors within the characters, all that kind of, it's sick. It's awesome.
One of my favorite scenes in that whole movie, or the shot wise, is him jumping off the building.
Mhm.
He's falling backwards. That is still one of the most beautifully shot animation scenes still in my eyes to this day. And not only that, I love Spider-Man Noir, even in the comics. So when they showed him, I was so happy, and then I knew exactly who voiced him right when
Yeah.
it happened. Like, that's Nicolas Cage, and he's like, "The wind just follows. And when I stop, the wind stops." And it's like I just try to let a light a match just to feel something, and then it just dies. I love him. So now we go to the next MCU movie, Far From Home. I had this ranked at number 8.
Yeah.
You have it where you have it at 8.
I have it at number 9, right behind you. Yeah.
One, I'm gonna say this right now. Disney and Sony, I don't know what you guys were thinking, but you spoiled Infinity War and Endgame Endgame more when you released this trailer. They released it, I think, right before Endgame's release.
I
We
guess that's not. I mean, it's right before. Like, what do you mean? Like within a week or what?
about a couple weeks. Or actually, I want to say it was about a month.
I got you.
So, mind you, in Infinity War, if you guys don't understand what we're talking about, Infinity War, Spider-Man is one of them that disappears or is wiped away in the snap. He's brought back in Endgame, but not only that, it spoils something else. It spoils a major death, and it spoils Iron Man's death.
Yeah.
We all know he dies in Endgame now at this point. That trailer alone pissed off fans because it revealed what was about to happen without us even having to watch it.
Especially that's right before, like they released it right before Endgame.
It was like the stupidest thing they ever did.
That's pretty dumb. Yeah, that's dumb.
And this movie just to me did not hit the mark. It had so much going for it. You had the hype from Civil War and its first movie. You had the hype from Infinity War and Endgame. And you ruin it. Granted, Jake Gyllenhaal, I'd let him play Mysterio. I think he's a great Mysterio. He's that maniacal, vengeful, envious person
Yeah.
that aspires to be more, but he can't be. I love that it's Tony Stark's failure that creates him.
Hmm.
I love how everybody that's working with him is all Stark Industries old employees, including the man that Jeff Bridges almost rips in half. For Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps. That guy's in it.
I forgot about that line.
That was an improvised line too,
That's
right?
good. That's good.
Yeah.
No, that's real good.
But this Far From Home, one, I don't like that Nick Fury was really brought into it, and so is Maria Hill. I know what they were setting up for, but was it really necessary in a Spider-Man film?
Yeah.
Because they're not really Nick Fury and Maria Hill, they're Skrulls. Which we see both of them in Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Ben Mendelsohn and his wife in the movie. I did not like them. Tom Holland's and Zendaya's relationship here. Phil was a little forced. I feel like this movie just was kind of all over the place.
It was.
We didn't really get to see him grow. Like, I feel like here's where I feel like some of the most disrespectful things in this movie was. The first part of the movie, where they kind of joke about what these heroes just did to save the universe. They joke about it. Seriously.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
My favorite scene still is the blip scene. Is when they blipped them back and all the band players during a basketball game appear on the floor.
Yeah, that's true.
That was funny. That one I have to admit was even funny. But I feel like Peter's emotions are all over the place here. And this is where you have that chance to really start with him struggling that Tony is not coming back. Tony is dead. His mentor is dead completely.
Crazy.
But what do? Oh, I got to go impress Mary Jane. Why you need to do that, bro?
You don't need to do that.
You don't need to do that right now. This movie was just all over the place, and this is why it's ranked low on my list. What was your take on this, Pat?
It's a whatever movie for me. Honestly, like it doesn't. I'm just like I'm not the biggest Tom Holland guy with the Spider-Man, man. He's not my. It's not my cup of tea. And I think already, and it just depends on. I know this is the one Spider-Man that's part of the MCU. So, for especially a fan like yourself, being so invested into the MCU movies, for me, I wasn't as so invested as much as I was when the first original Spider-Mans came out. That's just me, you know. But as far as it goes, like you said, Jake Gyllenhaal, great as Mysterio. Like he's a phenomenal Mysterio. I'm a big Jake Gyllenhaal fan myself. I think Nightcrawler is one of his best roles ever.
Donnie Draco. You have a
Uh,
lot of movies up there with him.
yeah, Donnie Darko.
My bad.
Do you say Donnie
President-
Draco?
Yeah, Donnie Draco.
I was like, I don't know if I heard that wrong.
But also Prisoners is another good
I was
one.
just gonna say Prisoners, Dennis Villeneuve movie. That's a great movie.
He's a good actor for that role.
Uh-huh.
And I just felt again, it's not that his character's wasted. They actually do really good stuff with him.
Yeah.
But I just feel like with everything going, I think it was more Tom Holland in this film that ruined it for me. I just feel like
And that's the thing. It's like I don't know why. You know what it is for Tom Holland? He's bland. For me, he's bland.
Well, I would have said that with you until No Way Home, which we'll get to here in a moment.
Yeah.
But No Way Home to me, I felt like showed us more of his acting chops than what we
Mhm.
got anywhere else. And I feel like this movie, it took away with what Endgame left him with. And then went a whole 180. Like you get that one moment where, or not really just one moment, but you get a couple moments where they try to put him up there like, Tony wouldn't want you to do this, or Tony wouldn't do that. Granted, yeah, but isn't this it's like 1 minute he wants to, I gotta go impress the woman, I gotta do this. Like I felt like they were trying to do Spider-Man 2 without trying to do Spider-Man 2. He didn't want to be Spider-Man. He just wanted to be Peter. He wished he was only Peter. The only good thing that I felt like came out of this movie, there's only two scenes. One, the Peter tingle. That made me laugh so hard in theaters. It made me laugh. That did. The Peter, when she called it the Spider Sense, she calls it the Peter tingle. Aunt May does.
The Peter tingle.
Which, by the way, going back to Homecoming, that's one of my other favorite scenes. Is when Aunt May sees him in the Spider-Man suit. What the? And then it goes to credits. It's like the best scene ever. But you see Aunt May actually supporting him.
Yeah. And by the way, do you like Marissa Tomei as Aunt May?
Yes and no.
Okay.
If you would have asked me that before No Way Home, I'd probably say no.
Okay.
No Way Home really sets the bar with me with her. And
yeah.
Great. She does great.
Sure. For sure.
I don't like the relationship between her and Happy. That made no sense to me whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like Far From Home had so much to play with, and they failed. And they failed hard. It's not that it's a bad movie. I don't want fans to think it's a bad movie. I'd watch it.
Yeah.
The other scene I love is when Happy goes to I think that's Netherlands.
Mm-hmm.
It gets Peter. And then him and Peter kind of have a moment. That he doesn't want to be the next Tony Stark. He doesn't want to be this. And he tells him, you don't have to be. Just be the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man that everybody needs you to be. And then that stupid scene after, he's like, oh yeah, I love Led Zeppelin. And it's an AC/DC song.
The disrespect.
I was sitting there, I was like,
You would think for him being British too, those are two British bands. or
I think it was supposed to be.
one Scottish, one's.
And the sad thing is, he's supposed to be the reference icon in that because he always, you remember watching that old movie called Empire Strikes Back and Civil War? Or he's the one idiot that, oh, you remember watching this very old movie called Aliens? Like, it's not that,
Aliens.
yeah, it's not that old. 1970s, not that old. Punk. But yeah, so let's go to the next big one. The next two are going to be big ones. No Way Home. This ranked, I hate to say this, it ranked at number 4 on my list.
Ranked at number 4, you said?
Ranked at number 4 on my list.
I have it at number 3.
No Way Home took everything from Sam Raimi's beloved universe to the somewhat forgettable Andrew Garfield universe. Combined them all. One of my favorite things in this movie is when Doc Ock comes out to play. And it is Alfred Molina.
There is a reason why they brought him back, right?
Well, remember, in the movie, because at this point in Far From Home, Mysterio reveals his identity. So he goes to the one person that could help him, Doctor Strange. And he asks him to make them forget that he was Spider-Man. Well, when Doctor Strange is trying to help him, he tries to change out the spell and it causes an incursion. And the incursion, just like in Loki, it's when different multiverses and stuff come to different fruitions. So this is how we got Dr. Octopus. This is how we got Electro there, Lizard, Sandman. Because when you pay attention, even Sandman, when he comes in, he's like, Peter, what are we doing? So he thinks he's still in his universe.
Gotcha.
Because he's trying to help Peter, but then doesn't realize this isn't his Peter. This is a whole different Peter Parker. You know, Willem Dafoe, they were brought right before their deaths.
Yeah. Okay.
This is by far my favorite Tom Holland. And it's not because of the popularity. There's one thing I enjoy a lot. It didn't take Uncle Ben's death to make him realize how much of a hero he needed to be. It was Aunt May's death.
Aunt May's death. Yeah. No, that's probably. I remember I saw this one in theaters, and when Aunt May died, I was like, "Wow!" They really killed her off. Like I wasn't expecting.
They just did an Uncle Ben moment with her. That was that Peter's Uncle Ben moment.
Yeah.
It is really well done by Marissa Tomei and Willem Dafoe. And Willem Dafoe comes back, a Green Goblin, doesn't miss a beat.
No, you actually hate him more. Like after this movie, like you hate him even more.
One of my favorite scenes is that you do see. I remember is when Ned is trying to use Doctor Strange's tool.
Yeah.
And he opens up warps, and here comes both Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. And when he's hanging out, Ned's grandma comes around, oh, Chupacabra, you know, like all the devil and all that kind of stuff. And then it's like, no. And then she's like, can you get that cobweb over there? So he walks over on the ceiling and grabs the cobweb. And then here comes Tobey Maguire's Peter. And I love that scene where Aunt May does die. And then he's in, that's one of my favorite shots. You see just J. Jonah Jameson just standing or like right in front of him on a screen, telling him everything that just went down. And it's just that iconic. It reminds me of Road to Perdition, that one shot where all the rain's coming down and he just takes them out one by one by one.
Your favorite scene?
Yeah. So it is by far one of my favorite things to see. And then that's when you see both Peters come to his aid, tell him their story. Like mine, it was Uncle Ben. And then for Andrew, he even said it was Uncle Ben, but he also said it was Gwen. You get that Andrew Garfield redemption moment when he saves MJ in this.
Yeah.
One. You know, you get one of my favorite scenes is that they are able to fix Doc Ock.
Yep.
And then he comes back to help them at the end of the movie. He does not side with the villains. He tricks them, but he sides with the heroes. One of my favorite scenes is when he sees his Peter. He goes, "How are you doing, my boy?" And he's striving to do better. And it harkens back to the second movie. And
Yes.
that scene alone teared me up. I was crying.
It changes the complexion of the movie too, right? It gives you kind of a perspective.
Now, why I wanted to talk about Sandman and Lizard later on, because they were voiced by the same actors, but their appearances were different. And the reason their appearances were different is because they were both shooting movies at the same time.
Okay.
So every scene you see of Sandman is from the third movie. Every scene you see with the lizard is from the Amazing Spider-Man.
Okay.
Like the animation's fine. But like when you see Sandman when he's finally getting control, that's from the third movie. So it's really weird how they did it, but it worked. I love how they say they're going to fix them. They're not going to kill them. That's another big thing to me. Doctor Strange coming in to help, and you get that moment where he wipes everybody's minds of Peter Parker, everything.
I love Doctor Strange, man.
Benedict Cumberbatch is amazing.
He's good. He's real good.
And then you get the hint of Venom with Eddie Brock from the one played by Tom Hardy's Venom's at the end of the movie. And some of this Venom symbiote is left on that universe.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah. So you know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I got a little bit of Venom for you. Yeah.
But at this point in time, too, Tom Holland has announced that he's wanting to take a break from it.
Mm-hmm.
Does not want to ruin with what he has had with Spider-Man or ruin his legacy as Spider-Man doing more right now. What's your take on No Way Home? I know you said you watched this in theaters. What was your take on it entirely? Like, was it the best one in your eyes when it comes to Tom Holland? Do you feel like it could have been better? What do you think?
I think you said that he might take a break. He's going to take a break, and do you see him doing another one of these?
It's according to an interview that we've read recently.
Got it.
It has to be worth his while to come back.
And I think it would be. I mean, they'd probably pay him a lot for it.
Well, they do, but I think for him, he doesn't want to just come back to play another movie. I think he's scared because you look at something like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and how that third movie kind of wrecked him.
Mm-hmm.
That would essentially kind of be like his third movie overall. Because you got to think, I don't look at No Way Home, even though he is the main character, he's not alone. And the only way you're going to make a fourth one is he's a standalone hero. And I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
Or not very well.
I like how Doc Ock's character and Green Goblin's character kind of developed a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it morphed a little bit more, and especially I think for us fans, especially on the, me and you are both of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man fans, that it was kind of nostalgic,
right,
having them in there, right? Especially, dude, the pop in the theater when Tobey Maguire comes out, like, because Andrew Garfield comes out first, right? And then it's Tobey Maguire. Yeah. So dude, just that alone really makes this movie stand out for me. But especially Aunt May's death being involved as well. That's probably one of the big takeaways from this movie, I would say. And like you said, the ending of it with having the venom attached. I know that's not really a big thing, but it makes you think.
Well, it's one of those movies. Like I agree with you. I love Doc Ock and Green Goblin in this film over anybody, and I love that Doc Ock looked at him and goes, "You're dead when I become. You're dead before I even become who I become." And it was like an opening moment to Green Goblin, like, "Oh crap, this might not be what I think it is."
Yeah.
And same thing with like even some of the other villains, like even like Thomas Hayden Church, even or Sandman even brings up, "You're dead in my time too."
Mm-hmm.
So it's all these villains really come to tuition, like, hey, you guys aren't alive in my universe, kind of thing. But it's a fun movie to watch. I enjoy it. I feel like it was a great entry into the MCU. Like you could see they put a lot of time and effort into this one.
Mhm.
This is after, of course, I feel like Far From Home is when MCU really started going downhill because at this point they're just pumping out movies.
Yeah.
MCU, listen to us now. Stop pumping out movies.
Could you imagine this movie the way it's structured and everything with multi universes? This is a wild take. But what if Christopher Nolan directed this movie?
No,
You don't think that would work?
I think, in my opinion, the guy who directed Doctor Strange or Sam Raimi would have been good for this film
Mm.
if it wasn't the director who it was. I
I
guarantee.
don't think I don't think Christopher Nolan would ever direct an MCU
No.
movie.
No. Well, remember he did Batman, but he made Batman into what Batman is.
Yeah, no, that's different. It's also DC, right?
Well, yeah, but still. Now let's go to the last one, and it just is a recent one.
Mhm.
2023. We're going to go into the second Spider Verse movie. We're going to go across the Spider Verse. This is my number 3.
Yeah.
Where does it rank on yours?
I have it as number 7.
Number 7.
And it was kind of like more of a filler choice for me, just because I was kind of honest with you before we got on here that I've seen parts of it. I just I'm not very familiar with the movie, and that's why it wasn't fair for me to put it up top with anything. And I will say, obviously, like I said with the first one, the animation is what stands out for me. You know,
It is a good movie. I love the fact that it focuses on Spider Gwen or Ghost Spider first,
Mhm.
and kind of gets you to where she leads up to working with 2099 and Spider Woman. That Miles, it was an incursion. It should have never happened because you find out that too is that Miles was never meant to be Spider-Man.
Yeah,
He is a problem in the universe. That's why he was never invited to the Spider Society because he should have never even became Spider-Man. You get some of the same people you love, Peter B. Parker, Spider Gwen, but you get a whole bunch of new characters. Daniel Kaluuya plays Spider-Punk, which I think is amazing. Oscar Isaac is 2099.
Oscar Isaac.
You just get some good actors in this movie. You see the story develop. You see the fight that breaks out with all the Spider Society because of Miles. And when 2099 tries to confront, like, you were a mistake, you should have never became, you were never meant to be bitten. He goes, well, I'm going to do my own thing because he needs him, because his fear is that he'll lose his dad.
Mm-hmm.
But in his eyes, he does not want to lose that. But they're always trying to tell him that with a Spider-Man, there's always sacrifice. You might not like it, but there's always a sacrifice.
Always a sacrifice.
And the Spot, played by talked to by Jason Schwartzman.
Hey,
Bar is amazing. I love his villain.
Are you talking about Max Fisher from Rushmore?
Rushmore, yes, sir.
Oh, what?
He is the main villain in this film.
He's the captain of the beast or the beekeeper society at Rushmore University.
It is an amazing movie. It is a fun movie. The twist at the end,
Mm-hmm.
my God, it is amazing. In that universe, Miles becomes the Prowler. It is, oh my God, it is a great movie. Why did it not rank at my number 2? The third movie is what's going to determine this because it led up to right where the third movie will begin.
Mm. Do you think they're just going to do one more to make it a trilogy, or you think they're going to do
It's going to have to. They've already announced, but I think it's been delayed because I think there were some studio problems.
Yeah.
There were some highly studio problems during the second one.
Okay.
There's a lot. I think there's lawsuits and stuff still on them. But I know they're going to come out this third one. They had to at this point. They set up too much. So, and Spot's still an oncurring villain that you are going to have to take care of. So they didn't kill him off. They didn't do nothing. So it's a great movie. I enjoy this movie a lot.
Mhm.
I'm glad I went and watched this one in theaters instead of not watching it like I did into the Spider Verse. But amazing movie.
I'm gonna do myself a favor this next week, and I'm gonna watch this with my kid. So I'm gonna try to see if,
It's a great movie. I recommend this to anybody.
like I said, I've seen parts of it, and I just wanted to rank. It definitely ranks higher than the 3 movies that came before it, or that I have on my list. So, you know, I yeah, man, I'm glad we did this. This was a fun little list we put together. I'm like I said, Spider-Man's one of my favorite superheroes of all time, if not my favorite. I like the story behind Peter Parker and who he is, and then who he becomes.
And
So,
they're always, even Miles is included in this conversation. They're
mhm.
characters that we can always relate to. But anyway, fans, if you like this, let us know in the comments what your rankings would be from favorite to least favorite. Let us know if you don't like our lists. Well, don't,
Mhm.
but because our lists are our personal lists.
What a tangled web we weave.
Yep.
No pun intended there. With further ado, I thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for everything. Follow us on all social medias. And other than that, what do you got to say for them, B Dog?
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility. And our playtime's over. Because it's pizza time.